Do you have issues with communicating clearly? Do you have issues with stuttering while you're speaking, or when you get the chance to talk about yourself or pitch yourself, or even contribute to a conversation, you just find out that you are stuttering. You just can't find the right words. Here are some tips to help you communicate clearly. Hi guys, my name is Onyinye Favor and you are welcome to the Repositioning Podcast. Alright guys, today we are talking about communicating more clearly. This is very, very important. As someone who progresses, when your life is climbing up from one stage to another, moving from level to level, there is always the need to communicate clearly. People want to be able to hear you speak and understand what you're saying and are impressed by your choice of words. So communicating clearly cannot be overemphasized. It is very, very important. If it was not important to you when you were just growing, or when you were just, when 1, 2, 3 people were listening to you, it is important now because you're a better person. Now, what are these tips to help you communicate clearly? Number 1 is writing down your thoughts. I'll give you an example about myself. Just recently, someone asked me a question and said, okay, let me not say the question, but someone asked me a question, which is kind of a sensitive question and a deep one at that. And I could not string my words together to give a good answer. And the person was like, does it mean you've not been thinking about this particular thing? I said, no, that maybe it's because I've not, or even though I've been thinking about it, I've not really written it down, because this is very important. And then I thought to myself, how writing down your thoughts is really important. Say, even for YouTube, when I don't script, in the past, when I tried to, or when I just started, when I tried to make a video without scripting, I always find it difficult to say what I need to say. Like the words just don't string together. Somehow there is an somehow there's an somehow there is something that I'm trying to, there's a filler word that is trying to make space for that place that I can't say anything because I can't remember, or I don't know the right words to use. So writing down your thoughts helps you communicate clearly. Sometimes when I have to give a response to somebody maybe has asked a very important question, before I send my answer, or before, even though I know the answer to the question, before I send the answer to the person, I go to my notes section, like I use the Google Keep as my note, and go there and write out my answer and possibly edit a few words. I notice that when I do that, it sounds clearly, because after I have written down my thoughts verbatim, I'm now able to read through to know the right choice of words to use, to remove some things and add some things. And by the time I send it to the person is impressed. You know, both with the answer or the meaning of what I'm saying and the way I have said it. So writing down your thoughts helps a lot, a whole lot. Number 2, to communicate clearly, it is important to listen. You cannot communicate with the other person, you cannot converse with the other person when you're not listening to what the person is saying. Listening is a very vital step when it comes to communicating clearly. Or else, how can you give back an answer? How can you give a response if you cannot listen? So listen very attentively. Practice active listening. I remember I made a video some time ago on active listening. Practice active listening. Make sure that you are actively listening. You're not there and then you're zoning out. Your mind is somewhere else. Always listen. And number 3, it's important also to paraphrase what you heard. So you're talking with somebody and the person goes ahead and says something like, please, I need help in trying to become a better person. Or maybe the person is having an issue with a particular skill that you are very skilled at. Let's use photography. I want to learn how to shoot photos or shoot pictures or shoot as a whole. Maybe snap pictures that tell a lot of stories that people can see and they say, oh, this picture holds a lot of memories. And then you, the listener, will go ahead to say something like, So to understand what you're trying to tell me, you want to learn how to take pictures. That's like paraphrasing what you just heard before giving your answer. This is to ensure that there is no lack in communication or understanding of what has been said. Have you ever been in a situation where you ask somebody something or you say something and you're expecting a kind of answer, and then the person goes ahead to answer something else and you're like, are you sure? Are you sure you're answering this question that I just asked, or is this something else that you're talking about? Because the person begins to say off point or begin to talk off point, and it doesn't in any way relate to the question you asked or the statement you made. So always paraphrase just to be sure you heard what the person is saying or what the person has asked. So paraphrasing is very important. Then number 4 is use simple words and concise sentences. There is no reward, not reward per se, but there is no benefit in using big words that your audience cannot understand. Always make sure you gauge the intelligence or the intellect of the people you're talking to before you use certain words. If you can't gauge their intelligence, stick to simple words. I know that as we grow older, as we become more learned, as we read more books, there's always that feeling to use a new word that you just learned. I know because I've had that feeling. In short, there was a point in my life that I was finding it difficult to simplify certain words because I couldn't just find a simpler alternative. And then my words were lost in translation because the person I was speaking to didn't understand what I was saying. So it is always better to use simple words, concise sentences, so that you don't begin to stutter and you just make a whole long sentence and then you're wondering, where am I? You're not sure where you were trying to land because there's a lot of string of words together at once without a full stop, without pausing to take a breath. So yeah, use simple words and concise sentences. And finally, please don't interrupt people when they are talking. Don't interrupt people. You are just showcasing your lack of understanding when you interrupt somebody who is speaking. And please don't say things like, I'm sorry for interrupting. Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt people when they are speaking. Allow them to speak. And in cases where you need to chip in, let them end the sentence. Listen, that's where listening comes to play. When you listen attentively, you can tell when a person punctuates and say, okay, this is a period at this point in this sentence. Then you can talk. Don't just interrupt mid-sentence. Somebody's still trying to talk and maybe without the full stop, and then you just go ahead and then chip in your own bit. It doesn't make sense. Number one, you can make the person lose the train of thought of what he was trying to say, or you might chip in something that doesn't relate and then it will affect your understanding of other people, especially if it's a group discussion, things like that. So do not interrupt people when they speak. So that's it, guys. I hope that with these few tips, you're able to understand that these are some of the ways that can help you communicate clearly. And I have to have a recap. And number one, I said, is for you to write down your thoughts. It is very important. Writing down your thoughts helps you assemble them together, make some edits, and then present it in a more presentable way. And number two, I talked about listening. It's very important to listen because how else can you make your own input? How else can you contribute when you don't listen? So listening is very important. Number three, paraphrase what you heard. Paraphrase what you heard just to be sure that what you heard is what the person actually said or what the person actually meant, so that you don't say things off point or not related to the situation at hand. So paraphrase what you heard before you give your answer. And number four, use simple words and use concise sentences. If you must use big words, make sure you gauge the audience. Use simple words that you know that every person will understand. There's a lady I love on Facebook, Mrs. Chioma Ifeanyeze, and she's always focused on the Montessori style of teaching, like even adult education, obviously, but using very simple, clear words, methods, strategies. Let it be simple. Simple is wonderful. Simple is excellent. Use concise sentences. Don't just let yourself go through because you're in a hurry to say or prove your point. You say very long sentences without pausing to take a breath or putting a full stop to your sentence. So yeah, use concise sentences. And then finally, I said do not interrupt people when they are talking. Don't interrupt people. Make sure that they have ended their sentence before you chip in what you need to say. And if you must talk, please, like I said, allow them to end the sentence. Let them put, a period. I mean, they will not say period, but you know when a sentence ends before you chip in yours. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notified when a video comes. Bye.